welcome everyone. So glad you're here, and ask you to come into a standing position so we can get started in our warm-up. Now in today's class, we're going to be talking about a theme of back discomfort. All right, and in this situation, as I advise you all the time, I want you to pay attention to how your body responds to the actions and make adjustments to your actions based on how you feel. So we start in a standing position with our feet about hip to shoulder distance wide. We let the arms hang down, and we begin a very slight turn of our shoulders from side to side. Now you may only want to turn very slightly, or your body may communicate that this feels good and you want to turn more. But the moment you reach a point where things are a bit more uncomfortable, then that should be a limitation. We'll just call that a line that we're going to draw, and we're not going to cross past that. But sometimes those limitations are temporary. We feel better when we're physically warmed up. So to create the movements that at the moment that you're doing them are a positive sensation in your body, and limit your actions so that the edge of those movements becoming uncomfortable are where you stop. All right, and so if you need to do more of this, keep going, but I'm going to switch our actions to letting the arms go forward and back. Now, although these actions obviously have a benefit to the shoulders, they're also affecting us body-wide, in through the core, into the spinal structure, into the neck. And so whatever you feel, wherever you feel it, it's a sensation. Pay attention to it and make your decisions based on how you feel. Okay, good. Now we're going to challenge our balance, and this is also going to challenge our core. So let your knees go soft and let your weight rock backward and lose your balance going back and then forward. Now there might be some reason in your ankle, in your knees, or even in the body at large that this might be uncomfortable, and so you limit it, maybe you avoid it. Put one foot forward if you're comfortable, going back and forth. So yoga, more than anything, is a communication with ourselves. We're asking ourselves questions. Put it forward now. And our body's giving us answers. And so we should listen to the answers that we're being given so that their communication is complete. The mind and the body talk together. Great. Now we're going to let the weight come into the inner edges of the feet and then go out into the outer edges of the feet. And we go back and forth with that. Good. Now that we've warmed up the ankle and the foot, brace across the ball of the foot, push your heels away from each other and lift up your toes. Pull your fingers back, stretching your hands, and then squeeze down the toes, grip, and take your fingers into the top where they touch against the upper part of the palm. And we go back and forth with these actions. Another area we're going to focus on today will be the hands and the feet too. Okay. Now spread apart the fingers and the toes and bring them together narrow and close. And so we go wide and we go tight. Great. Now let your big toes move towards each other. And then push those big toes down with the heels pressing apart. Lift your small toes up and down. Press your small toes down, heels pressing apart. Lift your big toe up and down. Now push down your big toe and your little toe and let your three center toes lift up and down. And that's great. Okay, keep the weight back at the heels, lift up through the spine and the top of the head, drop the shoulders comfortably low, and then breathe in, lifting your arms forward and up. You don't have to lift any higher than feels good throughout the body. Exhale, take the arms out and down. Because here again, it's a movement that involves the shoulder, but also the neck, the upper, and the lower back, depending on how high we lift up. Exhale. And the movement is going to change the way we feel. We're going to go to the side now, inhaling, and exhale across and down. Now, normally these are simple actions. You may feel the activity, but not really pay much attention to it. Let's go the other way, inhaling. But in a situation where your body's uncomfortable, pay strong attention to those sensations that seem to be increasing that discomfort. Good. Now let the arms rise up. Bring up the center of your spine and the side of your chest and comfortably reach the arm up into a stretch. Inhale. Exhale, letting it go. Bring up the center of the spine, the side of your chest. Again, another comfortable reach up. Inhale. Exhale, release. Center lift, side lift, arm stretch, and inhale. Exhaling. Lift the center, lift the side, stretch the arm, and inhale. Exhale. Now take hands and interlock them together. Press out through the palms. Your hands will stretch. Now bring the arms and the chest up. And as you've lifted, make a spiral from the legs through the body, through the arms. And inhale, exhale, releasing. Uplift your spine and spiral the other way. And inhale, exhale, release. Now uplift the arms and the chest. And being gentle, pay attention, arch backward, inhale. And then exhale, let the arms swing free. Now we're going to bring up the chest and squeeze the shoulder blades back, and then reach the arms backward, exhaling. Let the shoulders travel forward, broad between shoulder blades, inhale. Reach and squeeze back and exhale. Forward shoulders, inhale. And once again, reach, squeeze back, exhale. And then let the arms release. Step your feet out to mat distance or shoulder distance wide. And begin to turn the shoulders. Here again, notice what you feel. You might have already warmed up enough that you can create more movement with comfort. Breathing deeply. But now let's isolate to some deeper layers. So we're going to lift the chest, and focusing on turning our shoulders, we won't move our hips. So we limit the action to what we can do comfortably without moving our hips. Now uplifting the chest, we're going to turn our hips, and we're not going to move our shoulders. Breathing deeply. Good. Now push your feet and your knees outward. The idea is to keep the pelvis right in the center of it all. That's going to be the constant leg action. We're going to add to that more pulling in, engagement of the core, chest staying upward, shoulders staying down. And we're going to push our hand into a leg so that when we tilt, we won't collapse. And don't go any further than you want. Keep the shoulders lined up with the hips as you begin to tilt. And then think of lifting your ribs and your arm up into the stretch. And take a deep breath. Exhaling, lift yourself up and out. Here again, we start over. Feet pressing outward, core engaged, chest lifting up, shoulders lowering down, hand pushing into the legs so that we tilt with a nice lack of compression. Lift the ribs, lift the arm into your stretch. Inhale. And exhaling, lift yourself up and out. Now step your feet so that they're wider apart and bend at your knees. Slide your hands down onto the end of the knees, reaching the chest forward away from the hips. And make a soft reach across with your shoulder. Create stretch. You'll notice that in your shoulder, in your ribs, your low back, your pelvis, your inner thigh. These all might stretch as well as other places. We'll take it to the other side. It's a nice comparison. Just keep breathing deeply. And then to the first side again, reaching across and inhaling, expanding your ribs. Exhale, and then the other side. Reach across and inhale and expand your ribs. Exhale. Now at center, take your weight to one side, straightening the other leg. Now you may feel more comfortable staying up high. You may be more comfortable going toward the floor. Your inner thigh is your target stretch. Breathe deeply. And then we're going to go the other way, across. Hips high or low, your choice. Breathe deep. Again, to that first side. Stretch that inner thigh gently. Deep breathing. And again to the second side. Stretch and breathe. Now coming to center with either the hands or the elbows down on the knees, lift up the hips, straighten the legs just enough that the back of the leg is stretching and the chest is reaching forward. If you want, you can let your head and your arm hang down for greater decompression. Breathing deep. All right, now placing one hand down or on a knee, we're going to bring the other shoulder up. Press out the feet, chest away from hips. If you're comfortable, stretch your arm upward. Breathing deeply. Exhale, coming to center. Hand down on the floor or the other knee. Chest away from hips, legs pressed outward. Lift the shoulder a little higher and breathe deep. Arm can stretch up if it's comfortable. Deep breath. Exhaling and coming to center. Now, your shoulders, if your hands are on your knees, your shoulders are near your ears. I want you to back your hands up so the heel of the palm is coming into this crease line of the leg. Right now, Your elbows are bent, but your shoulders are still near your ears. Slowly begin to straighten one elbow, and you only do that to a point of feeling comfortable. You don't have to get the elbow straight. Take a deep breath. Exhale, let that elbow bend. We just made that side of the spine longer. Now the other side, we begin to press, we begin to work to straighten. We take a deep inhale. Exhale, that elbow bends. And now both sides, we start to press, we lengthen, we get the arms comfortably straight. We take a deep breath, and then exhaling, we bend the elbows, we bend their knees. We come up out of that. Good. Now usually, I take us through a series of sun salutes, and today, I'm not going to do that because my back personally doesn't want to do that today. But I thought it would be a great idea for me to show you some things that we could do because back discomfort, low back discomfort, upper back discomfort, these are common things in life. And sometimes we have issues that are going on with our wrist, our elbow, our shoulder, which means bringing hands down onto the floor isn't the best thing. So we're going to create a gentle flow action using several poses linking together. It is important that you stay comfortable with the action. You may or may not be familiar with the poses that we're going to use, but I'll guide you through. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to start at one edge of the mat, and we're going to find out what is our comfortable stance. So as we're standing with our feet hip distance, heels lightly pressed out, so we have a really good arch, I want you to step your right leg comfortably back so that the foot is still hip distance away, close to the right edge of the mat. The left foot's close to the left edge of the mat. And you can easily swing the right side of your pelvis forward toward the front of the mat. Now, some people step back a very small amount. They may step back just another foot distance backward, and that's okay. But if you wanted to try it, step forward again, step back to where you normally go. And if you're looking for a challenge today, step back just about a half foot distance further back. Unless that creates discomfort, then it might be a good challenge. If you're in a position you feel uncomfortable with, then step the foot a little more forward, because that's going to create a nice limit to how far we go in this first pose. Okay, so let's tighten up our thighs. That's going to help us release the back of the leg. And our goal is not to flex or arch our back any more than it is right now. Our goal is to pull in our core and lengthen our spine. And we're going to tilt a bit forward. So as we're coming forward, make your thighs tight. And don't go too far. A little bit of stretch in this front left leg is all we're after. Watch out, your right side of the pelvis may pull back. See if you can swing it more forward toward the front edge of the mat. When you're comfortably low and not extreme, slide your left hand down the leg. Let it brace you and help you bring your chest forward. And then very slowly, we're going to lift our right shoulder above our left shoulder, looking off to the side or looking down at the floor. This is a very mild version of a triangle pose. If you're comfortable, you lift the right side of the chest up, and then if you want more, you lift your right arm up. Breathing deeply, then we're going to lift our chest up and keep pulling upward to lift ourselves up and turn forward and come out. All right, so that's the first action, the first pose, that is the triangle pose. Now, I did that very lightly, and you might keep it light like that, or you might be going very deep. You might know a lot about this pose. We're going to do side two. This is going to be sort of a progressive increase of action as we more thoroughly warm up. So now, as I'm standing again, the feet hip distance, I step the left foot back. I see what my typical position is. Left foot close to left edge, right foot close to right edge is ideal. But if you're looking for a challenge, then you step that left foot maybe a half step slightly backward. If you're uncomfortable, then you might step it a half step slightly forward. So find that position, making sure your pelvis can turn toward the front of the mat. All right, tighten up your thighs, lengthen your spine, and then keeping your back nice and long, no flexion, no extension, just tilt a little bit forward. Your right leg's going to limit you. You just want a mild stretch. Don't let the left side of the pelvis pull back. Try and keep it pressed slightly forward. Breathing deeply, and when you find that you're a comfortable distance down, bring your right hand down the leg to brace, and then bring your left shoulder above the right. You can look down or out to the side. We're not trying to go into an extremely deep pose unless that's the challenge you're seeking today. Breathing deeply, the left side of the chest is slightly lifted toward the ceiling, and then if you want, you can add that left arm up toward the ceiling too. Take a deep breath, And on your exhale, lift up through the arm and chest to bring yourself up, turn forward, step forward. Now, there are some conditions where even that gentle triangle would be too much for your back. And if that's the case, then remember, one of the recipes of rest, ice, compress, and elevate when you have an issue or an injury, the first one is rest. So if something's too troublesome that what I'm describing right now, then this would not be right for you. All right, now the second action that we're going to create is not the triangle pose. What we're going to create is a pose that's a bent knee position. Is known as a side angle, but it's going to be a very high side angle. So as we're standing again, we're going to step our right leg backward. But this time, as we step back, we're going to bend the left knee so that it's over the left ankle. All right. If you want more challenge, your right leg can go further back. If you want less challenge, your right leg can go a little more forward. Lengthen through the spine, breathing deeply. Now we're going to slide our left hand down toward the left knee and lift our right shoulder above the left shoulder. So you could say this is a bent knee triangle pose. True. If you're comfortable in this position, you can make a few changes. Keep your hips in the center of the mat, moving the left knee toward the left edge, and you might be able to bring your left elbow down onto your left knee. Again, you're looking out to the side or downward. You can reach your chest toward the front edge of the mat, and if you're comfortable, you can stretch your right arm forward toward the front of the mat, breathing deeply. To come out, we'll bring the right hand to the hip. We'll put our hand to the left knee, lifting up the body, straightening the legs, and stepping forward. Again, these actions can be more intense, but I'm giving you a very gentle version of these poses. Okay, so now we'll do side two. On this, the left foot steps back. And wherever it steps back is fine. In this situation, the right knee bends directly over the ankle. Don't let it go forward of that ankle line. Keep the weight on the heel. In this position, nice long spine. We're going to bring our right hand toward the knee and pull the left shoulder above the right shoulder in position. And you can stay just like this, hips in the center, right knee moving to the right. Or if you're comfortable, you can bring the right elbow down onto the knee. You can stay like this, nice long spine. Or if you want more, you can take that left arm and reach it forward, shoulder above shoulder, looking down or out to the side, breathing deeply. To come out, we bring the left hand to the hip. We bring the right hand to the knee, we lift the chest, we lift the body, we step forward. Okay, so that's the side angle. It would be part two of our flow. Then we're going to go into two poses that are very similar to each other. They're the warrior poses. As we're in position, standing feet hip distance, we step the right foot back. Now, we're going to be bending the left knee over the ankle. We keep the hips in the center, left knee to the left. We lengthen the spine. And what we're going to do is we're going to reach our left arm forward and our right arm backward. Or maybe we're going to keep our hands on our hips and just turn the chest so it's turning toward the right. Either arms reached outward, or if that's just too much, hands to hips, nice long spine. So this is a warrior two position, very mildly done. We'll turn it into a warrior one position, hands to the hips, turn the chest forward, and then take the arms, either pressing down, lift the chest up, or optionally, both arms stretching up toward the ceiling. Breathing deep. And then you can bring hands to the hips and step forward and out of that position. So those are the warriors. Let's do side two. So now it's going to be our left foot that steps back. We bend the right knee over the ankle. We're trying, in this, the warrior two, to get the left shoulder behind the right shoulder. We can reach the right arm forward and pull the left arm back, but that might be too much for the spine. So hands can stay to the hip as you bring the right shoulder forward and the left shoulder back. We're getting shoulder in front of shoulder. Nice long spine, breathing deeply. For warrior one position, the hands go to the hips. We turn forward and either just lifting up the chest, or if you want more, the arms stretching up. Nice deep breath. And then we would bring hands to the hips and we'd step forward and out of that position. Okay. So now you know the idea of the poses we're going to use. The flow is going to be a bit of an extra challenge. If you've got some discomfort, if something I'm asking you to do doesn't seem to work very well in the flow action, then you can simply comfortably bring yourself up, moving into the next pose. But we're going to start and we're going to create our flow. So let's stand, feet hip distance wide. We're going to step our right foot back and keep the left knee straight. Thighs tight, long spine, we tilt gently forward, sliding the left hand down the leg comfortably. We're going to bring the right shoulder above the left shoulder, looking down or out to the side, lifting the right side of the chest and maybe reaching the right arm upwards. Deep breathing. Exhaling, right hand goes to the hip, left knee bends over the ankle, and if you like, slide the left elbow down. Hips centered, left knee to the left, lengthen the left side. And if you want, take the right arm and stretch it forward. Deep breathing. Now on an exhale, right hand coming to the hip, left hand to the knee. Lift the chest, reaching the left arm forward, the right arm backward. Hips in the center, left knee to the left. Uplifted spine. Deep breath. Exhaling, hands to the hips, turning the chest forward, lifting the spine upward. If you like, reaching the arms up, stretching up, inhale. And then exhale, hands to the hips and stepping forward. There we go, simple flow. Of course, if you want to go deeper in the actions, that's going to give you a greater challenge, greater intensity. Let's do side two. So now we're going to step our left foot backward, keeping the right leg straight. Thighs are tight, spine is long. We begin tilting forward a comfortable amount. The right hand comes down the leg, bracing us. Looking down or out to the side, we lift the left shoulder above the right shoulder, and we lengthen the right side of the waist. We can lift the chest upward, or if you like, the left arm can stretch up. Deep inhale. Exhaling, left hand at hip, right knee bends over the ankle, and if you like, the right elbow comes down onto the knee. Lengthen, shoulder above shoulder, right side of the chest long, and if you like, left arm reaches forward, breathing deeply. Exhaling, left hand to the hip, right hand to the knee, lifting the chest upward, right arm reaching forward, left arm reaching back, shoulder behind shoulder, chest lifting, long spine. Exhaling, hands to hip, lift the chest, turn forward, lengthen the spine, chest lifting upward, and if you like, arms stretching up. Deep inhale, and then exhaling, hands to hips and step forward and out of position. And there we go. A simplified flow pattern that's not going to put as much stress on the back as stepping the legs forward and back and upward and downward dogs. And so that might be useful to you when you're looking for something that's a little bit easier on the body. But I wanted us to work with our shoulders and our hands and our feet today too. And so I'm going to guide you into a seated position. And if you're wanting to reduce discomfort for the hips, the low back, the knees, and the ankles, you'll sit your hips up on something. So for now, we're going to come into a seated position. You can sit in a chair. You can sit on the floor. It's really what's comfortable to you right now. Your legs can be in a variety of positions. They're all perfectly fine. I'm going to fold my legs in because that's comfortable to me, but you be in the position that's good for you. And lift up the spine. Don't let yourself collapse. If you need support, like in a chair, put a pillow in the back of your body there. Okay, so now we're going to let the shoulders roll, one side and the other. Because we didn't do upward and downward dog, we didn't have a lot of action in our shoulders today. We roll one way, and then we roll the other way. So we're going to warm the shoulders up quite nicely, especially since my plan is for us to do some things for the hands. We want to make sure that the line of nerve conduction that comes from the neck through the shoulder line is open. We want to make sure that our shoulders, instead of crowding forward like they often do from all of our gathering, our shoulders are pulled into a better, more open posture. So let's start with the right hand across. Well, it doesn't matter. Just a hand across the shoulder, really. I'm going to take my other arm. Now, if I don't, I'm just going to show you something. Just try and move your elbow around in a circle. And it's going to feel somewhat effortful. Now, take your other hand to the elbow and help it. This assisted movement, it's much bigger. It's the full potential range of motion with assistance. What we had before was a range of motion we could make with the muscles alone. Let's go the other way. So this is sort of a stretch and activation, an assisted movement. Really good for opening up areas, or if we're a little weak, it helps us. Let's do the other side. So I'm going to try it again without assistance. And it's like, well, that's effortful. Okay. But now I'm going to help. And it's like, wow, okay. So that meant that I'm more capable of going into my fuller range of motion with this help. Let's go the other way. And that's good. That's good to have. Okay. So we're opened up a little bit. Now there's several different planes of action that our arm can make. There's going forward, there's going out to the side, there's going backward, there's crossing over the midline. We're going to try and involve all of those. And the first one is going forward, but the way I want to do it is I want to bring my hand to its own shoulder. So it's coming to its own shoulder. Now my elbow might decide to go out to the side, but I'm going to pull it in line with its own shoulder and begin to lift the elbow and keep the elbow in line. It's going to try and flare outward, but I'm pulling it toward the midline of the body. And I'm going to start to notice as the arm comes up that it's stretching, that there's some sensation. And the stretch can go all the way down the chest. Lift a comfortable amount, breathe deeply, and then let the arm come down. And you know, a shoulder that's got some issues isn't going to lift as high as a shoulder that's perfectly comfortable. That's fine. Now the other side, I take the hand, I touch its shoulder. And then I begin to lift the arm, but I'm paying attention. I want that elbow to be moving toward the middle of my body and not out to the side. And that's going to create a line of limit. I'm going to feel the resistance. And we let that go. Okay, I'm coming back to this first side. Now, we did that on its own. I'm going to have the elbow coming in, and I'm going to use my other hand to very gently help me bring the arm up just a tiny bit more. I've got a little stretch, but nothing extreme. And releasing. Keep breathing. The other side. So I'm going to create elbow coming inward, the lift. And when I sort of maximized, I just give a little bit of assistance. I find that I can comfortably make a little bit more with that gentle help. Okay. Now I'm going to take an arm up. And instead of touching its own shoulder, I'm going to reach behind me toward the other side. I may not get there. I may end up with my hand on the back of the head, but I'm going to reach toward the other shoulder. And I'm going to reach up and across my body very gently. We're going to feel this as a stretch. We're just breathing deeply. And then we're going to release it. Now, the sensation has to be welcomed everywhere in the body. So don't go into something saying, well, my shoulder's fine, but my body, the rest of it's hurting. Keep comfortable. Now, the other side, I come up. I'm going toward the other shoulder, but again, maybe my hand's on the back of my head instead. And I lift up and slightly across, just breathing deeply. And then we let that go. Now you probably know what's happening. We're going to do a little assistance. So I'm going to come up again toward the shoulder. Now first I do the active, I lift, and it's just a tiny bit. I just help it get a little bit more, a tiny bit more stretch, breathing. And then we let it go. And then I take the hand toward its shoulder, come up, and then just a little bit more of a stretch, breathing, and we let it go. You know, if we're gentle, if our goal is to create a slight amount of change, we get a lot more positive benefit from that. Good. Okay, roll the shoulders a little bit again. Just notice what's going on. Now that has helped elongate the bottom of the shoulder line, but we also need to sort of lower our shoulders down away from our neck a little bit. I'm going to take my hand across. I'm going to work to lower my shoulder, but my other arm is just going to help me pull it down a little bit. I'm just going to tuck my chin in slightly. We'll take a deep breath. Exhale, let it go. Now the other side. The hand is there. I'm going to work to lower my shoulder, and I'm just going to create a very gentle pull down, tucking in the chin, deep breath. And we let it go. We'll do this again. Hand across, lower the shoulder, gently pull down and tuck the chin, breathing deep, relaxing. Hand coming across, lower, gentle pull down, tuck the chin and breathe. And we let it go. Now, a shoulder is very complicated. There's so many different angles because it has such an enormous range of motion. So I'm coming across my body again, and my elbow's low, but I'm going to reach toward the other side, and I'm going to give it a little gentle pull. Now with my head, I'm going to lift up, I'm going to look across that shoulder, and I'm going to tuck the chin a little. We'll just take a deep breath. Exhale, release it. Now the other side, coming across, I'm going to reach. I'm going to create just a little bit of a pull across. I'm going to turn toward that shoulder and tuck down the chin. Deep breath. And we let it go. All right, now, hands are going to come, but this time it's going to be up at about the height of the shoulder for the second one. Reach across, gentle pull. We lift the head and we turn. There's no need to tuck the chin. We're just turning across the shoulders. Come near that chin. Take a breath. And then release it. Hand going to remain level. Come across, gentle pull. Lift the head, turn. Just look across. Take a breath. And then let it go. Great. So we've really opened up top and bottom and sides, back side of the shoulder, but we've remained to open the front side of the shoulder. So roll the shoulder a little bit again, one way and the other. And then we'll start with our hands. They're going to be palms down or turned so the palms face the back. So the palm down would be the simplest. A slightly increase of this rotation would be the palms facing the back of the body. So I'll let you choose what's right. Keep the chest up and the chin level for now. Lower those shoulders. Palms turn down or toward the back. Squeeze your shoulder blades together. Now the shoulders likely lifted toward the head. Shoulder blades squeeze together. Lower each shoulder down a little more. And then slowly tuck in the chin. Lifting the back of the neck as you tuck. Take a deep breath. Exhaling, begin to lift your chin upward, keeping the shoulder blades together. Take a deep breath. And then exhaling, relax all of that. Okay. But now we've got to create a different rotation. So my arms are either going to be turned forward or for a stronger action, turned upward. So it's either forward or upward, a different rotation. Chin is level, chest is up, shoulders are down. Squeeze the shoulder blades together behind you. And since the shoulders rose up a little bit, we're going to lower each shoulder down a little bit, keeping the shoulder blades squeezed together. Now start with a lift of the chin, the face reaching upward, and take a deep breath in. And then exhaling, slowly tilt the chin into a tuck, lifting the back of the neck. Deep inhale. And then exhaling, relax it all. And again, just roll those shoulders a little bit. Okay, good. Now we've loosened up everything, including the nerve conduction that comes down into the arms. Let's create a rolling of our wrists. I'm going to make a soft fist and start to roll the wrists. Roll them one way and then roll them the other way. Okay. Shake out the hands a little bit. Now I want the palms to face each other. The elbows are close to the sides of my chest. And so I'm more accurate. I'm going to use one arm at a time approach. So my other hand is going to come over and it's just holding my forearm lightly so that what I move is my wrist. I'm acting as if my palm is on a flat surface. So my fingers can't move except that my wrist moves. I'm going to pull my palm backward. And I'm going to move my palm toward my body. It's very easy for your body to interpret this as to move the fingers in independent of the palm, but don't. Act like your palm is on a flat piece of glass. And try and make it so that your arm isn't swinging around or lifting or lowering. It's staying level. And we're going to find that this is a little bit of a pull into certain areas of our forearm that might be tight. We'll just shake that out. We'll do the other side. So the arms are facing each other, level with the floor. I simply hold my forearm. Acting like my palm is on a flat piece of glass, I just rock it back and forth. And then we shake out the hands. Okay, great. Now open your palms up wide and begin to swirl. Like your hands have become these mixing paddles. We're trying to make as much of a swirl as possible. You swirl one way and you swirl the open palms the other way. Great. Shaking that out. Okay. So now we're going to have a palm down, arms parallel position. I'm going to start on one side. Palm as if it's against flat surface. I pull backward And the part that'll be hard not to move my fingers is when I fold downward. Now this one too, the body says, oh, palm going up, that means this and this. It's like, no, really my forearm I want to have level to the floor. I just want to move my wrist. And even though we move our hands and our wrists all the time, it turns out we move them in such a limited fashion, we're not fully into our range of motion that's possible. Relaxing, and then the other side, palm down. Okay, so pulling backward, folding inward. You're going to feel some tightness. Try to make sure that this is a welcome intervention, that you're not feeling strong discomfort. Good. And then shake that out. Okay. Next action in the line is to make the fingers go in little claws. And then we make that circle. And there's a lot of clicking and popping potential here as the tendons throughout the wrist area are flipping across the multiple bony structures. And most people can think that it sounds loud, but you really can't hear it outside your own body. Shake that out. Okay, now here's going to be the one that's a little difficult. It's the palms turned upward. Okay, so we went from palms facing each other, palms turned down, and now we're palms turned up. I'm going to isolate to one hand. I'm keeping that palm flat, and then I try and tilt that palm down. Oh my, that's tight. I try and lift that palm up. Oh, I found another level of tightness. And it's look at your fingers. Are they staying flat like on a piece of glass, or are they trying to push in through that glass, right? There you go. That's definitely something we don't do all the time. Shake that out. Try the other hand. Nice and flat surface of glass. Bend it down. Bend it up. All right. So these actions, watch your fingers, because if you're not looking at them, your body is cheating. Shake that out. All right. Now bring your palms together. Okay. Press the palm area into each other. Elbows are against the body. Palms are pressing. Just pull your fingers back and away from each other. So you've got this nice width. It may not be very wide between your fingers. So there may not be a lot of space between the fingers, but you're doing this over and over again, and it's really good. The thumb is pulling back too. The thumb is pulling back as well as the fingers, because thumbs tend to have more issues than the other fingers, at least at first. Now, we've done this several times, and what I'd like us to do is to bring the wrists close to the body and flare the elbows out so that from the elbow through the wrist to the other elbow, it's forming a straight line. Put your palms together, and now see, pulling your fingers apart. It's like, that's a lot harder to do. So we create that action. It's working the muscles of our forearms. Great. And then we shake that out. Okay, great. All right, now, from a seated position, I'd like us to do this. We're going to take our legs and bring them forward. Now, if you have a block, it's really good to use a block, because we're going to be working something that's very important for the lower leg and the arch of the foot. So I'm going to take my block, and I'm going to place it so it's in between the knees. Now, I don't have it the widest, and I don't have it the narrowest. I have it that middle. And if you're sitting in a chair, it's totally fine with that. Backing up so you can see my feet. Your hands can be back behind you, elongating you. And right now, my feet and my knees and my hips are all lined up with each other. And we keep a nice long spine, and I want us to do this. I want us to work to lift up the inner edges of the feet. Now, a lot of people do this by turning the feet and moving them, but don't try just to roll onto the little toe side of your foot and let it come down. Do that a few times. Now, the block is there to prevent our knees from going apart, because the block would fall down if they did. So we're using a very particular group of muscles, very important for the arch of the foot, very important for the health of things like the ankle and the knee. Okay, we've lifted that side. Now let's try and lift the other side. Try and bring up the little toe side. And you're going to find that that's not as much of a range of motion. And some will find that they cannot do it at all. But this is using a group of muscles on the outside of the leg. A very important group of muscles, and one that are often not properly activated. So do your best with it. You may find that, it's not going to come up as much as the inner side, but you may, with a little bit of work, be able to get that side to lift a little bit. All right, now, lift the front of one foot up. This is a stretch of a very deep part of our calf. and then do the other side. For some people, the foot easily lifts. For others, it's a strain because these muscles are so tight. So this is really great for releasing tension that can affect the bottom of our foot, but it's also great for the ankle and the knee. Good. Okay. Now, we're going to come out of this position. I'm going to have us do some things specific for our hips. It's really great for the back. I'm going to ask us to come onto our side. So, you can use a bolster or something else to prop up your head, your neck, your shoulder area. You want to be comfortable on your side. And so, I usually prop with my own arm, but as I said, you could just as easily have pillows, couch cushions, whatever, between the head and the floor. And we're going to line up so that our knee is over our knee, our hip is over our hip. We want to activate this outer line of our hip because it provides tremendous support for the low back, the hip, the knee, and the ankle. We're going to stretch out this leg, and I'm going to have us do this a very particular way. It's lined up with our spine. And I want us to reach the ankle and point the toes right now. Reach through those toes strongly. And then bring the leg up to about the height of the hip. And the toes now moving toward the body. Heel reaching. Lower the leg back down. So we're doing something different. On the rise, toes point, leg goes up. On the lower, heels reach, leg comes down. So up and down like that. Now you'll begin to feel the hip, and don't raise higher than about your shoulders. I know your leg is capable of going up higher because it will use not just the hip, but the side of the waist muscles. We're trying to isolate, and we're inviting this lactic acid buildup. Okay, so we've done this a few times, and now we're going to take the leg and bring it so that it's lined up with the lower leg, and that's about a 45-degree angle. What we're going to do with our shoulder is lean it back. Now, you might not want to lean it back very far because that might pull too much. And your arm might start off near your hip, but you could bring it out to the side or near your head. We're sort of wanting to create the same angle of our leg duplicated through the arm in a diagonal line. But the more you straighten the elbow, the more you're going to feel a pull in the shoulder. So you're welcome to bend and to move the shoulder forward if pulling back is too much. And reach through the ankle will add to the stretch at the side of the waist. So we're going to have to interpret this just the way it needs to be for our body. We're breathing deeply. We're in a twist position. Deep breathing, comfortable sensations throughout the body, everywhere from that wrist through that ankle might be feeling a little bit of sensation. Deep breaths. Okay. Now from this twist, we're going to bring our shoulders back upright. And this leg that is forward, we're going to do this. We're going to reach the heel and bring the leg up and then point the toe and bring the leg down. Now the hip is working overtime because it's no longer getting the kind of support from the low back as it was when it was lined up with our spine. So heel reach up, toe point down, still lifting only to about the height of the shoulder. Good. Okay. Now let that knee bend. We're going to make some nice action. It's going to be stretches in different areas. We're going to take the leg toward us and we're going to hold on to it. And we're going to bring it toward our chest and make a big circle up. And then bring it back. You're going to feel the stretch in your thigh and then forward. You want that lower leg to stay down. And the circle could be big or the circle could be small. So we circle our leg in one direction. And now we're going to reverse the circle. We're going to go backward and then upward and forward and then downward. So we make that big circling action. Good. Okay. Well, we've completed this on one side. You're probably feeling sort of a buzzing sensation. And we need to do this on our second side. So let's switch. All right. Here again, some priorities. You want the head to feel comfortable, head and shoulders and neck comfortable. You want to be lined up, hip over hip, knee over knee in the beginning. And we're going to have it so that the upper leg straightens out and is lined up with our spine and our toe is pointed. The leg is reaching. We're going to bring the leg up with the toe pointed. We're going to reach the heel and lower the leg down. We're keeping the side of the waist long. We're still limiting the lift to maybe the height of the shoulders. Down with the heel reach. So up and down. Now it's very typical that one side of the body will be stronger than the other or more flexible or something. And the sensations of fatigue might occur to a greater degree, one side versus the other. And in situations where there's strong fatigue or weakness in the body, we may feel the lower side pitching in a little bit of action. So all of these might be possible for you to feel. Okay, so we do a few repetitions, and then we're going to take this upper leg and line it up with the bottom leg at about that 45-degree angle. And our arm starting out near our chest, we pull the shoulder back a little bit, but the arm can stay near the chest, move out to the side. Remember, we want to sort of almost recreate the angle in a diagonal line, but we gotta have some compensation. We don't want to necessarily straighten the arm completely. That might give us too strong of a stretch. We could bring the chest more forward or pull back more. We could reach the ankle away from us. So let's make a comfortable sensation, a line of stretch, and just breathe deeply, trying to let the body open up a bit into this stretch. And that is good. And so we're going to come out of it. We're going to bring ourselves to the shoulders over the shoulder again, coming out of that twist. And then the lower leg lined up, the upper leg lined up with the lower leg. We're going to reach the heel and bring that leg up and point the toe and bring that leg down. So our action again, causing the activity to build in that line of the outer hip. And you may feel that sensation of lactic acid building up in your hip. Okay, good. Now let's bend the knee. We're going to make some nice movements and stretches. We're going to bring the leg towards us. We're going to hold on somewhere between the knee and the ankle. We're going to go up and back and down and around. In this side, we're going to make sure we're doing just the right amount of action. The lower leg is staying on the floor, so we're not rolling around. We've circled in one direction. Now we're going to circle the other way, so we're going to go back and up and forward and down. So the amount of movement we create is associated with the sensations that we feel. Okay, well done. So now we want to do some finishing touches, some things that would be directly related to the lower back. So let's roll on to our back. A lot of times, if we've been beset by a particular issue, we need to rest the area that's troubled and try as best we can to exercise the other areas of the body while we're waiting for things to get better. But there are some movements that we can create if we've got some low back issues. We can have ourselves on our back and the knees bent with the feet and knees and hips all lined up. And the first action is just to simply see how well the back tolerates the flattening of the back. Just notice what you feel where you feel it. And with the back flattened, exhale and pull your belly in. And then we'll go away from that. We'll let the back arch. We're keeping the hips down, but we'll let our low back lift a little bit. And when we inhale, we expand our belly out. And then we try and match that up. Back flattening, belly pulling in as we exhale. Back arching, belly expanding out as we inhale. And this pelvic tilt is a really good action for us. All right. Now, leaving the left leg where it is, bring the right knee in toward the chest and take your hands around the top of the leg so that they're on the shin line. Pull the leg gently toward your body and push the leg gently away. So pulling in and pushing away, but I want us to do it at the amount the same. So I'm going to pull in and push away the same amount. And now my leg doesn't move, but the pressure gently increases into the back of the pelvis. We take a deep breath in, and then exhaling, we relax and we put the right foot down. Now we're going to bring the left leg in. We're going to take our hands around to that shin side. And we pull and we push. We're just experimenting to see if either action is reasonable. But then we do that the same amount. We pull and push the same amounts. There's no movement. A bit of action increases flattening the back of the pelvis. Take a deep breath in, and then exhaling, let that leg lower. Now, the sides of the waist. We're going to make a little bit of a movement so that one side, pelvis moves a little closer to the ribs, and then the other side, pelvis moves a little closer to the ribs. I'm going to shimmy back and forth just a few times, side to side movements. All right, then come to neutral. Bring the right leg in and let the right ankle cross at the left knee. Now, to a degree, you can move your right knee away from your chest and then begin to shimmy a little bit. Open up the right side a little more, open up the left side. The degree of movement we create is a very individual thing. Don't move any greater amount than feels comfortable. You're going to feel some stretch in the hips. You may feel some stretch in the side of the waist or the lower back. Great. Now bring the knee towards your chest. Then we'll do this on the other side. The left ankle crosses the knee. We move the left knee slightly away, and then we start to open up the left side of the waist, open up the right side of the waist, creating this shimmy action back and forth. Paying close attention to what we feel, how our body responds to these things. Great. Okay. Bring the left knee in. We're going to set the feet back down. Now, widen the feet out so they're at least mat distance wide. And I want us to tilt the legs toward the right side, allowing the legs to fall so that now the left side of the pelvis lifts up slightly. You're in control of how much, but do keep your shoulders down. Breathe in deeply, then let the knees come up and tilt them toward the left, letting the right side of the pelvis lift up again, just a reasonable amount. I'm going to go back and forth. This begins a rotational action. And rotation is a bit complicated for low backs, and sometimes something that we have to slowly build into for comfort, depending on the type of back issue we might be going through. Okay, but if things are looking good, then we can bring our feet and knees close together. And now when we swing the legs toward the right, the left side of the pelvis lifts up a little more. Do keep your shoulders down. Bring the legs up and tilt. You can see that we're doing a slightly progressive action from one thing to the next. But if it's seemingly not welcomed by the body, you'll just go back to the thing that was working. If you still want a bit of an increase, come to center and drape the right leg over the left, and then going side to side. That's creating a slight bind. It pulls just a little bit more. Be sure, once you've done one side, uncross, now left, draping over right, going side to side. These actions can go further. You can actually bring the legs, once we've crossed, into the body, so that the weight of the legs is coming on. But pay attention, because this is about the equivalent of about half our body weight in our legs. So when we go side to side, the pull might be more extreme. And if it is, you could easily just rest the feet down and create the action instead of keeping all of that body weight on a back that isn't ready for it. Good. But we'll come to a point at the center that we'll bring the legs down and we'll stretch the legs out, just walk them away from it. We want to create a lovely neutral posture. So we're going to shimmy the pelvis a little bit just to even things out and turn the hips in and out. If there's discomfort, sometimes leg stretching straight out isn't appropriate for back issues. So you can always, at that point, bend your knees. Or tighten seat muscles and relax, arch and flatten the low back. We want to get the upper body right, so we're going to take our arms and reach them upward. lifting the shoulders away from the floor. We can walk each shoulder toward the hip a little bit, and then turn the arms so that they'll open up with the palms facing the ceiling. Turn the head from side to side, and let the chin tuck in the middle and reach away until it feels like you're resting evenly. Now, make a soft fist with the hands and tighten the toes down against the feet. Bring contractions into forearms and upper arms, lower legs and upper legs, seat muscles, belly, back, chest, neck, and face. Inhale, contract everything. And exhale, go limp and relaxed. And notice in your body the areas that just didn't open up. See if you can exhale and let them relax more. Or maybe you need to retighten first and then relax, soften. It can take a bit of time to get the body to relax completely, but we really need that. We really need the off button, if you would, because we engage so much due to actions in our body and stress in our life that we retain a level of chronic tension everywhere. And so turning off that tension, letting the body go soft and relaxed is very important. Keep breathing into the belly, the sides, the lower and upper back. Deep inhales and slow exhales over and over and over again. You've done great work. You can relax as long as you like, or whenever you're ready, you can breathe and move and stretch. I really appreciate you being here today.